The Giants have won 10 of their last 11. The playoff picture unfolds and a player profile on JT Brubaker. That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics, with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area. I also host a show in Sacramento now, where I live, Sacktown Sports 1140, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., the Alan Stiles Show. Be sure to check that out, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team that I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are talking about how the Giants took care of business. We do some playoff math and a player profile on JT Brubaker. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5-H-E-Win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. The Giants have been taking care of business. They've won 10 of their last 11 games, home runs all over the place, not taking you-know-what from anyone. Great job on the Giants. Any situation, right, where they've lost the lead and didn't blink, these last couple weeks prior to this stretch, I should say about a month ago now, it didn't look great. But now, they are about that action. They are standing on business. They are taking the lead right back. They are not blinking, and this is what you have to do. Now, I get it. The Rockies are terrible, and the Giants did have to come in there and show them who's boss, and that's exactly what they did. They took care of business, and I tip my cap to them because even though the Rockies are a bad team, the Giants were staring at the Mets in the face in this specific situation last night, and it was a day they needed to have. They had a couple hours to sit with it, to stew on it, knowing that they needed to win this game, and that's exactly what they did. They're at 17 games straight with the home run. That's the most in the San Francisco era. So we have not seen something like that from the Giants since they have moved to San Francisco. And that's just pretty awesome to watch this power punch. Playing in Coors Field will help, but when you also have home games at Oracle Park, it evens out and is pretty impressive. We talked earlier this week about the mini tests, and this was one for me. You can dismiss it if you want. That's your prerogative, but it was really nice to see them know what was on the line last night, and lose the lead, be put in that position, and simply come together for a common goal. Matt Chapman, as the leader of that squad, he's got a impending one-game suspension that he decided to appeal. Well, it's a good thing that he decided to appeal that suspension because he hit 2 home runs, and if I were Matt Chapman, I would have been staring at both of them all day long. I'd still be staring at them right now. Okay, so Matt Chapman, the leader of that team, some guys lead through their vocals, right? Some guys are vocal leaders. Some guys are leaders by example. I kind of think that Matt Chapman is both, and he showed it the day before, getting into it with the Rockies, and is showing it now through the bat and what he was able to do last night with the 2 home runs. Drew Gilbert, you know I have my Drew Gilbert agenda ever since he was a star outfitter at Tennessee because I love my college baseball, a line drive home run, and there's just nobody like Drew Gilbert on the team. You know, if you've played on a team with a Drew Gilbert, you know he is one of one, and it's infectious. It really is. And that's what the Giants have needed for a very, very, very long time, going back to, I wouldn't say Hunter Pence, but I would say that type of level of let's keep everybody loose. And Willy Adames does keep everybody loose, but it's different. Drew Gilbert is loose, but also this guy does not mess around at all, right? And he is incredibly intense in those moments. Robbie Ray got put in an awful spot with that missed call, but he gutted it out and battled. And honestly, good for Bob Melvin. right? Fighting for his guy and getting tossed. That's the type of stuff we want to see from him. I know there were jokes that Robbie Ray should have already been out of the game, and that was on Bob Melvin. But hey, you win the game, nobody asks questions, and that's exactly what the Giants did. Also, we have a player profile later in the show on JT Brubaker. Brubaker, he came over, or he was released by the Yankees, and the Giants were able to pick him up. I did like what I saw from him. He gave up some runs, but he's still finding his footing out there. We got a player profile on him coming up, so I don't want to spoil it too much. Last but not least, again, Patrick Bailey, before the game got opened up on that Chapman second home run, he had another very timely clutch RBI knock. He was 2 for 4. So look, man, hitting is contagious, and it's starting to look like things are making sense for Patrick Bailey again at the plate. And that's something that I think a lot of us wanted to see. You might be labeled as a Patrick Bailey hater. I know some people have labeled me as that. I'm not that, right? It's just a matter of production. And I know how good Patrick Bailey is from the defensive standpoint, being a catcher, probably the best catcher in Major League Baseball defensively. So we don't need much, but we do need something. And Patrick Bailey is providing much more than just a little something. And this is how you keep everybody off of your back, number one. And number two, and really should be number one, this is how you keep your job, right? In these moments with stuff on the line, I get it. They put themselves in a bad spot. We've already discussed there's nothing that the Giants can do about that, right? Are you going to let it take over your season, or are you still going to show up and at least put yourself in a position where the Mets could stumble? The Padres have been stumbling. They could continue to stumble. I have some positive words as we get into the playoff picture when we talk about the Padres, right? So even though it could be dismissed, hey, Alan, and I hear you, and I'll see you in the comments, whether it's a YouTube short, whether it's the actual video, or on the podcast as well, whether it is on social media, on X, right? I get it. Hey, Alan, he did it against the Rockies. We all know they stink. They still haven't done this, right, and made enough headway for me, if this person is you, for me to feel comfortable believing that they are back, or that they can do this without a true level of pressure. And that's where this thing is headed. As we get ready for the second segment, they did all this. They do gain a game on the Mets. There's some good news. There's some bad news. But ultimately, this is where it starts. This is where it starts for the San Francisco Giants. You have officially, this is what happens now. And I'm going to give, it's kind of a weird shout out, but, I didn't go to Cal, but being from the Bay Area, I always rooted for Cal. And Cal used to do this thing where whenever they would get ranked top 25 or whatever, then all of a sudden they lose the next week. That's kind of the Cal special. And they look really good with the new QB, by the way. But that's the Cal special. Things change when people start talking about you. You had Bob Nightingale last night talking about the Giants. Everybody's looking up. Oh, wait. Okay, now you're 5 games. Now the 5 games are gone. Now you're 4 games within the Mets. The Mets continue to lose. We'll look at the strength of schedules. This is where we truly find out what the Giants are made of. Not that they're going to make the playoffs or not, but this is where we truly find out what the Giants are made of. But just an incredible stretch, a lot of fun, a lot of highs, not a lot of lows, but a lot of high energy. Some of the most high energy baseball I've seen from the Giants in a really long time. And that's what I'm taking away from it. I've told y'all, I kind of kicked off the week, hey, I'm personally compartmentalizing this stuff. I understand it might not be easy for everyone to do that, but I am compartmentalizing what I'm seeing from the Giants. That doesn't mean that I'm letting anybody off the hook, whether that's Bob Melvin or any of the players, but we're at least seeing them show up in some capacity. No clue if it's going to translate or not, but we're seeing them show up in some capacity. Okay, let's get into that playoff picture. It's time. I'm falling for it. We're going to do the playoff picture talk. We got some math. Take out your TI-89 calculator. I don't know if kids even know what those are anymore. When we return, we are breaking down how the Giants could pull this off. Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. I remember my first chip like it was yesterday, kind of because it was my only chip-in I've ever had. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best part of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5-H-E-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. Okay, like I said, get those calculators out. Nowadays, I don't think kids even need the TI-89 calculators, but that's what we were using back in my day. We have some playoff math to do, all right? And here's the biggest issue with the playoff math. There's good news and there's bad news, okay? So, of course, as most people do, let's start with the bad news, the tiebreakers. So we all keep saying, oh, they're 5 games back. Oh, they're 4 games back. But the reality is you have to add a game onto that with the Mets and the Padres. Those teams own tiebreakers on the Giants, and that essentially adds a game on top of what you see when you Google or go on MLB.com and see what the NL wildcard race is out. Let's start with the Mets. 9th hardest schedule, okay, according to Tankathon. The Nationals are essentially Rockies East, but they only have 3 more games against them, and they have 3 more games against the Marlins, who I would call feisty. Okay, I would not put them in the same breath as the Rockies. So not a ton to say. We just need them to keep scuffling. That's just what it is. The Padres are a different story. Okay, as far as the bad news is concerned, the easiest schedule in the league, 7 more games against the Rockies. Okay, and 3 games against the White Sox. It would have to be a monumental collapse for the Giants to catch the Padres. Then, like I said, then you have the tiebreaker. So it would have to be just absolutely brutal. I said there was bad news. The good news is that the Giants are playing the best baseball they've played all season long, right? And they still have the 8th easiest schedule in the league. And I told y'all that they would drop, if you will, after those Rocky games. And that's exactly what happened. So they had, I think, the 2nd easiest schedule because the Rocky games are weighted so much. And I hate to keep bagging on the Rockies. I'm sure their fans, most of them or whoever, I'm sure they're just struggling. So I hate to keep bagging on them. But it weighted so much that once they played those Rockies games, they bumped up 6-7 slots as far as the easiest schedule. Now, with that being said, the Giants still have 3 more games against the Rockies, and it's the last series of the season. So all they got to do is keep it close. Now, by then, they could be mathematically out of it, right, based on where we're at right now. But if not, that's a great position to be in. You know, the Rockies got to win a game at some point, but if you were to pick a team to be in that position going into the last series of the season, you'd probably pick the Rockies. So that's where the Giants sit. On top of that, I got a buddy who is a big Padres fan, and he just continues to tell me that their pitching is just in absolute shambles, right? Their pitching is just not in a good spot right now. Again, it would have to be monumental, but it's possible. It is possible. And for me, this is where it starts for the Giants, right? Mini tests that we've seen. Last night was a mini test. I'm not taking anything away from that. And they passed. It was still the worst team in baseball. It was still a situation where you knew you had to take care of business. and you did what you needed to do. Now people are talking. Now you got to go on the road to a Cardinals team that is not the Rockies. They're not the Brewers. Okay, they're not the Brewers, and I know the Dodgers have scuffled. They're not the Brewers. They're not the Dodgers. They're not the Phillies, but they are not the Rockies. And this is what happens when now the expectations are starting to churn up a bit. I don't know that anybody expects the Giants to sweep the Cardinals. I mean, they've been rolling so far, and they just swept the Rockies. But we understand, again, I know it sounds like a lot of bad news here, but we understand that the Mets know, hey, all we got to do is just keep them at bay, right? Just keep the Giants at bay. There will be times with the Mets being on the East Coast. There will be times where our games are done. But if we take care of business, the Giants can't do anything, right? We have to have that bad luck. Think about it like this. And again, it's not to be negative. It's just a reality. The Giants have won 10 of 11. I know at one point they were 7 games back. So we could say this whole essentially month of Giants baseball, they gained 3 games, right? Playing some of the most ridiculous baseball they have played. 10 of their last 11. They're 9-1 their last 10, or what? I guess 10-1 now, and they gained 3 games, right? The Giants may regress at some point, and that's what the Mets are essentially banking on. The Giants would have to stay as hot as they've been over the next whatever amount of games. There's 22 games left, and we would have to still lose on those days they win. Let us not forget, what was that last week? Giants, they both lost a game on the same day or something like that. So it's not just winning. They also have to, or losing, it's also a match game. So this is going to be really tough. And mathematically, it's I wouldn't call it probable, but it's possible. Right? The Giants have just been red hot, and the real question is, are they going to be able to sustain this? Because they only have a couple more losses left, and those losses have to line up with days where the Mets or Padres lose. All it really takes is 2 days where the Giants win, the Giants lose and the Mets win or the Padres win, and that could happen this weekend, and it's probably over. So this is why I try to get myself going and say, I'm treating these games like the playoffs, because we don't know if we're going to see the playoffs with the Giants. So maybe that's a crazy statement and a crazy approach, but that's how I'm treating these games, to at least bring a little bit of juice to me watching them. Because if I watch them, and look, it's not a ton of fun when you look up and you see that the Mets won again, but last night was a lot of fun, knowing that the Mets were already out of it, right? Or they already lost the game. Okay, Giants, let's see what you can do. And because of the time difference, there will be more opportunities like that. So that's how I always say I don't police fandom on my show. That's how I would fan if I were you. You can do whatever you want, but that's how I would fan, because we don't know what's going to happen, and it's too late to talk about the Giants controlling their destiny. My approach is I'm going to reevaluate everything when it's all said and done. The Bob Melvin stuff, they won once they were already done. We got to see what it looks like. And at the end of the day, I'm going to defer to some of the players. Players don't always know best when it comes to coaching, right? That's for Buster Posey to make those decisions. But if they're truly riding for this guy, I mean, you have to take some of that into consideration. So we're a long ways from that. We're 22 games away from that, to be specific. And on the way to that might be some more good times. And you never know, crazier things have happened. We've seen it ourselves time and time again. One more segment with you. Let's get to this JT Brubaker player profile. He comes on over, released by the Yankees, and looking to do some good stuff for the San Francisco Giants. Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. Fees are included. Know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout, because I hate that, and I'm sure you hate that too. Honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. Time for a player profile on JT Brubaker. So we've done a couple of these player profiles so far, and it's always the younger guys. And I know I made a joke about a TI-89 calculator earlier in the show. This time I wanted to give some love to a fellow a person in their 30s, all right? I wanted to give some love to a vet and a guy who saw some action with the Giants last night, JT Brubaker. A really interesting story for JT Brubaker. He's 31 years old, was mostly a starter during his time with the Pirates, and then just suffered some bad breaks. This is what the Chronicle had to say about Brubaker. Brubaker, 31, was with the Pirates from 2020 to 2022, mostly as a starter, then required Tommy John surgery. Pittsburgh traded him to New York last season, but he spent the entire year in the minors on rehab assignments. This spring, finally back to full health. He suffered fractured ribs while fielding a comebacker. Here's the quote from JT. I overreacted and then got out of the way and just kind of folded down on my ribs and broke them. It was really self-inflicted. The Yankees added him to their roster June 18th, and he posted a .338 ERA in 12 outings before getting released August 7th. The Giants signed him to a minor league deal August 13th. Here's the quote from Brubaker on joining the Giants. I was just looking for a place that looked like a good fit for me, citing the great communication that he had with the Giants. Once I got here, they welcomed me with open arms. In 11 innings over 3 games with Sacramento, Brubaker allowed 6 hits, 5 walks, and 2 runs, and he struck out 7. That was from the Chronicle. Shout out to the Chronicle. I don't know why, but he just strikes me as a throwback Giants acquisition. I know Giants fans always go back to those even years, but someone that clearly has some talent, started to bounce around, looking for maybe 1 or 2 more spots based on what they have left in the tank. And when I say left in the tank, that's not to say that he's nearing empty, but you're looking for a nice home to spend that amount of time that you do feel like you have left. Let me stay, so I'm 31 years old. Let me stay in San Francisco for a couple years. That would be nice. Bounce around a little bit. I thought he looked good. Colorado is confusing because, like I said, they do stink, but it's objectively a hard place to pitch. So I guess it kind of evens out. I liked how things started for JT. They sent him out in that 3rd inning and things got a bit squirrely, giving up some runs, but he seems like a solid middle innings guy once he gets rolling. And because he has that history of being a starter, that's going to be very valuable for the Giants throughout the rest of this stretch and possibly going into next season. I don't think he's anybody. Like I said, I'm purposely giving a player profile to one of the more under radar players on the Giants because we always talk about the young studs, and I know that's what exciting. But hey, you know what? It's a throwback Thursday, so let's throw it back to one of the over 30-year-olds on the Giants and show him some love. So great stuff from JT Brubaker. I think he'll be able to eat up some innings for the Giants. And if the Giants keep hitting like this, he's perfect to kind of just throw out there, keep the other team at bay, and make sure that you get to the finish line. So happy that JT has found a home for however long it is with the Giants. And I think it's really exciting that the Giants, we talk about these guys that have even just a little bit of player control deciding to head on down to Oracle Park and see what they can do there. Well, I guess saying that out loud, it's a pretty good place to show up. If I wanted to look good as a pitcher, I'd go to the Giants to be able to pitch at Oracle Park. But with all that being said, good stuff on JT and the Giants being able to get that victory last night. All right. That is it for today's Locked On Giants. We will see what the Giants do once they are back in action. We will be back in action tomorrow because we are on Monday through Friday. Be sure to follow me on social media. We really, really appreciate that. It's another big moment on Locked On, college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. Also, be sure to follow our Locked On Giants account as well. We're on TikTok. We're on X. We got little clips for you if you're running around. And what did Alan say? We can make sure that you find that. So be sure to do that and continue to spread the word. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.